Ha ha ha. Hey, Nicki Minaj and Lana Del Rey, PFPs, stop talking about me. Here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Tkay Maidza project. Last Year Was Weird, Volume 3. This is a new EP from Australian singer, rapper, and songwriter Miss Tkay Maidza, who blew many of us away last year with the second installment of her Last Year Was Weird EP series, with wall-to-wall bops that were so crisp and colorful and versatile and fine-tuned, I had to name this thing my EP of the year. Now, there was a 2-year gap between Volume 1 and Volume 2, but that is absolutely not the case with 2 and 3. Tkay and her main producer Dan Farber took little to no time in bringing together a new batch of tracks for the next installment in the series with 4AD Records. We have 8 more tracks on this thing, and there were a few bangers to tease us along the way. There was Kim with Young Baby Tate with unmatched explosivity and absolutely twangy as well as tangy lead melodies, plus bars that just drip with confidence. This thing is loud, it's bold, and of course the refrain of "Bitch I'm Kim, bitch I'm Kim" is pretty hilarious. Never have I been so into a Kim Kardashian reference. Plus, Young Baby Tate on the back end of the track matches the energy of the song perfectly. I love some of the melodic runs in her verse as well. And bringing a 180 mood switch was the track CASHMERE, which has a loose swaying rhythm as well as very delicate lead vocals. In comparison with Kim, Tkay sounds like an entirely different artist on this track, channeling this otherworldly, surreal, pillowy pop and R&B blend, where she is surrounded in these layers of bass, angelic vocal harmonies, and deep reverbs. Now, in my opinion, these tracks are pretty fantastic, and I found there to be some equally impressive deep cuts on this EP too. On To Me is an amazing R&B throwback, taking it back to the heart of the 90s, with glamorous pianos, sensual vocal leads, and a stellar hook that builds tension as the melody reaches higher and higher and higher, hitting points where Tkay's falsetto sounds stunning. This is easily one of her best tracks, period. Then High Beams, in my opinion, has some of the best production on it of the year, with its dynamic trap beat that hits hard, mesmerizing vocal samples, and huge gospel-style hits of "Yes, Lord." It is a massive beat I think a lesser rapper would get lost in, but with Tkay, that is not the case. She is at the forefront of this thing every step of the way, especially on that chorus. Now, for sure, there are highlights on this thing, but I did not find all of the tracks to be highlights. And with it being an EP, it's a short track list, so there's not a lot of wiggle room here to be putting forward tracks that are just okay. The opener, for example, is a sentimental and moody morning ballad with some pretty strong vocal leads. It's a somewhat sunny R&B tinged tone setter for the record, which doesn't really bring a strong song structure, sadly. Then Syrup is one of the loudest tracks here, a single to the project that I think I liked upon first listen, but the more I heard it, the less impressed I was. Between likening her bars to chocolate and saying she goes hard like a boner, there are numerous instances on this track of Tkay lyrically just punching under her weight. And I can't really say I'm getting too much out of this Pharrell-inspired beat that is just slathered in distorted bass. Like, it's okay, it's got a groove, it's got a lot of volume, but is it the best instance of writing? Is it the best instance of beat and soundcraft on this EP? Not by a long shot. There are much more impressive beats and verses on this EP and Tkay's last. Then the finishing track, Breathe, like the opener, feels a little underwritten too, or maybe just a track that would be more fitting for a record that was longer and maybe a bit more, I guess, thematic and introspective on the whole. Like, I can appreciate that this song feels like less of a single and more like an emotional moment, more like a bridge to something else. But sadly, with this project being so brief, this moment of deep reflection isn't really reinforced by anything around it. Plus, I think some of the glitchy effects thrown on Tkay's voice on the back end kind of ruins whatever blissful tone the song was going for. While I do think there are some great tracks and good intentions on this latest installment of Last Year Was Weird, I do wish some of these tracks had more time to develop, along along with many of the sounds and ideas contained within this EP too. I'm just ever so slightly split on this EP because, in a way, the project sounds split. There are some great singles here, but simultaneously there are tracks where it sounds like TK and Dan are trying to mature into a more sensitive sound, but not putting those feelings on a longer, more cohesive track list where they're most likely to thrive, I think ultimately limits their ability to have impact. Which, in a weird way, is why Last Year Was Weird Volume 3 feels like it wants to be an album as opposed to an EP of just like really sharp bops, but it's not going far enough to get there. Still, with that being said, I'm feeling a strong 6 to a light 7 on this one. Transition. Have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like, please subscribe, and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head, it's another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Tkay Maidza, Last Year Was Weird, Volume 3, Forever.